Hey guys, it's Miss Patrick. We're going to finish up Ronald Dahl's Magic Finger today. This is our last read aloud for the year. I hope you take an AR test on it. This one only took 2 days to read. Um, Let me know what you think of the story. I'd love to hear. I will not eat worms, said Philip. I would rather die. Or slugs, said William. Miss Gregg took the two boys under her wings and hugged them. Don't worry, she said. I can't mince it all up. Very fine, and you won't even know the difference. Lovely slug burgers, delicious worm burgers. Oh, no, cried William. Never, said Philip. Disgusting, said Mr. Gregg. Just because we have wings, we don't need to eat bird food. We shall eat apples instead. Our trees are full of them. Come on. So they flew off to an apple tree. But to eat an apple without holding it in your hands is not at all easy. Every time you try to get your teeth into it, it just pushes away. In the end, they were able to get a few small bites each, and then it began to get dark, so they all flew back to the nest and lay down to sleep. It must have been at about this time that I, back in my old house, picked up the telephone and tried to call Philip. I wanted to see if the family was all right. Hello, I said. Quack, said a voice at the other end. Who is it? I asked. Quack, quack. Philip, I said, is that you? Quack, 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 quack. Oh, stop it, I said. Then there came a very funny noise. It was like a bird laughing. I put down the telephone quickly. Oh, that magic finger, I cried. What has it done to my friends? That night, while Mr. and Miss Gregg and Philip and William were trying to get some sleep up in the high nest, a great wind began to blow. The tree rocked from side to side, and everyone, even Mr. Gregg, was afraid that the nest would fall down. Then came the rain. It rained and rained, and the water ran into the nest, and they all got as big as could be, and oh, it was a bad, bad night. At last the morning came, and with it the warm sun. Well, said Mr. Gregg, thank goodness that's over. I never want to sleep in a nest again. She got up and looked over the side. Help, she cried. Look down there. What is it, my love? Asked Mr. Gregg. He stood up and peeped over the side. He got the surprise of his life. On the ground below them stood the four enormous ducks, as tall as men, and three of them were holding guns in their hands. One had Mr. Gregg's gun, one had Philip's gun, and one had William's gun. The guns were all pointing right up at the nest. No, 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 called out Mr. and Miss Gregg both together. Don't shoot, please don't shoot. Why not? Said one of the ducks. It was the one that wasn't holding a gun. You are always shooting at us. Oh, but that's not the same, said Mr. Gregg. We are allowed to shoot ducks. Who allows you? Asked the duck. We allow each other, said Mr. Gregg. Very nice, said the duck, and now we are going to allow each other to shoot you. I would have loved to have seen Mr. Gregg's face just then. Oh, please, cried Miss Gregg. My two children are up here with us. You wouldn't shoot my children. Yesterday you shot my children, said the duck. You shot all 6 of my children. I'll never do it again, cried Mr. Gregg. Never, never, never. Do you really mean that? Asked the duck. I do mean it, said Mr. Gregg. I'll never shoot another duck as long as I live. That is not good enough, said the duck. What about deer? I'll do anything you say if you will only put down those guns, cried Mr. Gregg. I'll never shoot another duck or another deer or anything else again. Will you give me your word on that? Said the duck. I will, said Mr. Gregg. Will you throw away your guns? Asked the duck. I will break them into tiny bits, said Mr. Gregg, and never again need you be afraid of me or my family. Very well, said the duck. You may now come down. And by the way, may I congratulate you on the nest? For a fresh effort, it's pretty good. Mr. and Miss Gregg and Philip and William hopped out of the nest and flew down. Then, all at once, everything went black before their eyes, and they couldn't see. At the same time, a funny feeling came over them all, and they heard great wind blowing in their ears. Then the black that was before their eyes turned to blue, to green, to red, and then to gold, and suddenly there they were, standing in lovely bright sunshine in their own garden, near their own house, and everything was back to normal once again. Our wings have gone, cried Mr. Gregg, and our arms have come back, and we are not tiny any more, laughed Mr. Gregg. Oh, I am so glad! Philip and William began dancing about with joy. Then high above their heads they heard the call of a wild duck. They all looked up, and they saw the four birds, lovely against the blue sky, flying very close together, heading back to the lake and the woods. It must have been about half an hour later that I myself walked into the Greggs' garden. I had come to see how things were going, and I must admit I was expecting the worst. At the gate I stopped and stared. It was a different sight. In one corner, Mr. Gregg was smashing all three guns into tiny pieces with a huge hammer. In another corner, Miss Gregg was placing beautiful flowers upon 16 tiny mounds of soil, which I later learned were the graves of the ducks that had been shot the one day before. And in the middle of the yard stood Philip and William with a sack of their father's best barley beside them. They were surrounded by ducks, doves, pigeons, sparrows, robins, larks, and many other kinds that I did not know, and the birds were eating the barley that the boys were scattered by the handful. Good morning, Mr. Gregg, I said. Mr. Gregg lowered his hammer and looked at me. My name is not Gregg any more, he said. In honor of my feathered friends, I've changed it from Gregg to Egg. And I am Miss Egg, said Mr. Gregg. What happened? I asked. They seemed to have gone completely dotty, all four of them. Philip and William then began to tell me the whole story. When they had finished, William said, Look, there's the nest. Can you see it? Right up in the top of the tree. That's where we slept last night. I built it all myself, Mr. Egg said proudly, every stick of it. If you don't believe us, Miss Egg said, just go into the house and take a look at the bathroom. It's a mess. They filled the tub right up to the brim, Philip said. They must have been swimming around in it all night, and feathers everywhere. Ducks like water, Miss Egg said. I'm glad they had a good time. Just then, from somewhere over by the lake, three came a loud bang. Someone's shooting, I cried. That'll be Jim Cooper, Mr. Egg said. Him and his three boys. They're shooting mad, those Coopers are, the whole family. Suddenly I started to see red. Then I got very hot all over. Then the tip of my finger began tingling most terribly. I could feel the power building up and up inside me. I turned and started running towards the lake as fast as I could. Hey, shouted Mr. Egg. What's up? Where are you going? To find the Coopers, I called back. But why? You wait and see, I said. They'll be nesting in the trees tonight, every one of them. And that is the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait for everyone to take an AR test on it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye.